envelopes that are in front of you that we put on every table in the films, let me tell you what we are not, so that we're just clear about this. We are not a political action committee. We're not a PAC, and we're not lobbyists. We do not sit on the laps of politicians and trade away gun rights for votes. It's not an organization that asks you to send your money in and we'll take care of things. We ask you not only to send your money in, but also to give your participation as much as you can. So that is one of the things that we are not. We don't ever play defense. We play offense all the time, and we're aggressive. The Detroit Free Press calls us the most aggressive pro-gun organization in Michigan, and we are proud of that label. We are not out to rock the boat. We are out to sink the fleet. Yeah. This organization is not for everybody. It's not for the weak stomach. But if this is the type of organization that you're looking for, I ask you to take those envelopes that are in front of you. There's pens on the table. Fill out a pledge amount. Make a realistic pledge that you would put into the opponent's campaign of an anti-gunner that we target. The other type of membership is a contributing membership, which is $25. That goes to operating costs. Everybody on the grassroots board of directors and the whole organization are all volunteers. Nobody's paid. That $25 pays for stamps, mailings, and operating costs. You can be a pledge member, or you can be a pledge member and a contributing member. So what I'm going to ask you to do tonight is to fill out that envelope that's in front of you on the table. Hold it up, and we'll have board members come around and collect it. Take your time. We'll do it a couple of times. I'd like to welcome to the stage a gentleman. The other reason that I look so good and the organization looks so good is because of one man. That man's name is John Emerson. Anytime you get a mailer, the professional mailers that you see coming to your door, anytime that you see a well-crafted flyer that Grassroots has on their table, it's because of John Emerson. This man has excellent organizational skills, and he's a diehard. I call him a workhorse. I don't know where we'd be without John Emerson, but I'm telling you that he is the heart and soul of the Grassroots organization. I'm going to bring him up to the stage and ask him to accept a trophy in gratitude from the Grassroots board for being the workhorse of the millennium. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Emerson.
Nice to be acknowledged. Appreciate it a lot. You know, everybody works real hard at the organization. So, you know, this really should be for everybody that shows up at board meetings every week. My main mission coming up here was just to give you a little update on the membership. I'm happy to report that currently we have 942 Grassroots members. I'm sorry. We currently have 942 Grassroots members. And of these, 892 are the dues-paying members, and we have 50 pledging members, what we call pledge-only members. In the past year, since the last election, 543 of you out there have pledged $31,355. We have pledged for next year's elections, and then of course we'll be still keeping those records of what those pledges are for the next 9 or 10 months until we pick our target next year, or targets. Also, those of you who were at the dinner last year, you may recall that we kicked off a membership drive with prizes going to the 3 people that brought in the most new members. And with that effort, we got 81 new members in Grassroots, and the top 3 winners all came from the Upper Peninsula. Christine Black brought in 10 new members. had 13 new members. And the grand prize winner is this fine-looking rifle right there. That's the grand prize. And that goes, the grand prize winner was Larry Hubbard with 26 new members. Wow. We've got a lot of activists here in the audience, but there's one thing, we've got elections next year, and some of you, maybe you're not active right now. One thing you can do, we've got our pledge program that, is to defeat one of the anti-gun politicians. But we've got, we've got the votes in the House and the Senate there in Lansing from this last summer. And I hope that some of you folks would take the time to volunteer for some of the pro-gun candidates that are running for re-election. And we might be going after the bad guys, but the good guys, could use some support too. So I hope that some of you, get involved in the political process and, not count on your donations or your contribution to the NRA, but actually put in your time as well. And as far as that, I want to thank you all and thank the board for their trophy. And let's keep up the fight to restore our right to keep firearms.
Now for the awards presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, as Executive Director, it is my distinct honor and awesome responsibility in choosing the Grassroots Brass Cojones Awards winners. The Brass Cojones is awarded to those outstanding individuals who, in recognition of their testicular fortitude, have battled to restore our right to keep and bear arms. It's based on a value that my father instilled in me at a very young age, and that is when you know that you're right about something in your heart, you must stand up for that, stick to your guns, never back down, no matter the consequences or the odds. My father told me that that was my duty as a man, as an American, and as a Hogan. Brass Cojones winners exemplify this value. An award winner is also someone who puts themselves at personal risk, professional risk, or political risk. But as my good friend Mark Scott says, anyone who stands up for their rights puts themselves at some risk. So every person out here tonight, I consider to have Brass Cojones. The first recipient tonight not only exemplifies these values, in many ways he reminds me of my father, and that's the highest compliment I can give to anyone. He's been a long-time friend and advisor to me and the Grassroots organization. He's a valued member of our advisory board. He's been around the block, and he's well seasoned. That's not a statement on his age, even though he's got guns that are older than me. He has seen the circus come and go in Lansing many times. He's been a person that you can always count on. He's helped everyone that I know of in the pro-gun organization, every leader in Michigan, in one way or another. Jim Church joined the NRA in 1965. He became a life member of the NRA in 1981. He was an NRA board member from 1995 to 1998. He resigned his life membership in the NRA in 1999. While a board member of the NRA, he nominated Neil Knox. And if we have some life members out there, voting members from the NRA, you'll notice when they put the advertisement, the leadership of the NRA puts an advertisement before they have a board election, and Jim Church is always on the bad guy list. He's always X'd out. I never understood that. That's basically because Jim Church was not a guy that will just go along to get along. He cares more about what's right and not who's right. Jim may have been mistreated and alienated by the NRA, but he fits right in with Grassroots, and we're glad to have him as a board of advisors. On our letterhead, we have our board of advisors members listed: Ted Nugent, Ted Nugent, United Sports of America, this person, and Michigan Gunners, and so on. When Jim Church resigned from the NRA board, he was still on our advisory board, and John Emerson and I talked this over. What are we going to put under Jim Church's name? Well, the fact of the matter is you don't have to put anything under Jim Church's name. Just the name Jim Church on your letterhead. Everybody that's anybody in the pro-gun movement knows who he is. He's a true gentleman in every sense of the word. I am honored tonight to give him this award. Ladies and gentlemen, a man with brass cojones, Jim Church.
First thing I want to say is Kevin Church, who wrote that ridiculous letter, is no kin of mine. This has not been a particularly good year for my wife and I. We've suffered some personal heartache for the loss of a child. And I want you to know that your graciousness to us tonight makes this the high point of our year. Even if I had not been a nominee, I would want to be here, because I've come to the conclusion the worst day in fellowship with pro-gun people is better than the best day at work. And I've never had a bad day fellowshipping with this organization. Another reason that I'm especially happy tonight to be here is because a prayer has been answered. Nearly a year ago, our dear friend Don McClure was taken ill and nearly didn't survive. And the fact that he's back here tonight is just about the happiest event of the year for pro-gun people. Hope you'll join me in welcoming Don back to the fellowship. It's nice to receive an award that is not politically correct. But at least I have one advantage over Barbara Goushaw. Hers isn't anatomically correct either. Speaking of Barbara, it's certainly gratifying to be at the same head table with this lady. I don't think anybody else in the state has identified our cause and the concealed carry issue as a woman's issue any better than Barbara has. We have an image problem, folks. Everybody in the media would like to call us rednecks. Good. And some of us are. And the issue is we are diverse. We have nothing else in common except the fact that we promote this issue. And I'm also pleased to share this moment with a true giant on the national scene, that being Larry Pratt. And I don't think Larry has stood any taller than at the time right after the shooting in Jonesboro, when all the NRA brass hats were hiding in the bunker with the media standing outside of headquarters wanting a statement. And Larry single-handedly was the only one, the national known people, who would go on camera, live, and discuss our side of this issue. Now that's a difficult thing to do. It's always difficult to be on live television and have to speak off the top of your head when you're being assailed the way people are by today's media. And Larry did us a wonderful job. The thing that we all have in common here is that we are fundamentally civil libertarians. I know most of us do not belong to the ACLU. Most of us would if the ACLU didn't feel they could pick and choose what part of the Constitution they want to defend. I learned everything I know about civil liberties at my father's knee. And he did not preach it, he simply lived it. He was a great example. One of the saddest parts of this evening is the fact that I can't share this with him. He passed away 5 years ago. And any of you who've lost a parent that you were close to will recognize the fact that every time something wonderful happens to you, you instinctively want to grab the phone and call them up and tell them about it. And I can't do that. And those of you who've suffered similar experiences can't either. But my father was a uneducated man. He had about an 8th grade education, yet he was one of the best read gentlemen I ever knew. Had more common sense in his little finger than I've ever had in my whole body. And the strange thing is, he was a lover of poetry, a man with so little education. So I would like to conclude my remarks tonight with my favorite poem and offer it in his memory. It goes something like this. Be not afraid of any man, no matter what his size. Just call on me in time of need, and I will equalize. Thank you.
I come from a family of 10. 5 girls and 5 boys, and grown up with 5 sisters, and throughout my life I have observed other women. And I'm here to tell you, this stuff about the weaker sex is a bunch of hogwash. Okay? Barbara Goushaw is a founding member of this organization. She was Jon Coon's campaign manager. She was instrumental in organizing the first grassroots rally. She served as the grassroots vice director and media director. As media director, she got us more press than anybody. We still haven't been able to replace it. As a vice director, she was the #1 fundraiser for grassroots, both by mail and at events. If she was up here right now, she'd be shaking you folks for your gold fillings. Which reminds me, if you have filled out or put a donation into those envelopes, please take those envelopes and drop them in one of our donation buckets on the way out. But seriously, Barb sacrificed a lot of hours when she could have been making a lot of money. She works for an organization called Governor Computers, and the opportunity cost that she gave up by donating her time to grassroots comes to a lot of money. She also helped keep the organization floating financially in the lean years, the first couple of years we had. She also took care of all the women's issues. As you most people know, the women's issues in the pro-gun movement are what moves the CCW legislation. In 11 other states, there has been women who have gotten the legislation for shall issue and CCW across. And I will appeal to all you married men that know that the #1 rule, at least in my family, in my marriage, is that when mama's happy, nobody's happy. Okay. I know what you mean. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. Barb was a little hesitant about shotgun training. She'd been trained, I gave her a couple of classes in handling. But she had not been shotgun trained. As a matter of fact, she had some improper habits that she had formed with shotguns. And I took her out to Camp Stassa and trained her on this very same 12-gauge shotgun that we're auctioning off tonight, or that we're raffling off tonight, and that's that Mossberg 8-shot pistol grip. Now, it took her about 10 minutes to get acclimated to the weapon, and I had only brought about 25 shells, figuring that would be enough for her. Well, she burned up those 25 shells and made me go all the way to Kmart and come back, and she wasted, well, I shouldn't say wasted, she went through 80 shells on her first time. She was just dynamite. You should see her with a shotgun. She also worked on our Warrior Women's Project, which was a project that we tried to get women legislators, especially in the Democratic Party, to stand up for CCW reform. She worked with Arlen Afton and Joanna Sturgeon, Elizabeth Calabas, and some other fine women in the pro-gun movement. She put together the Women's Empowerment event that we had with Paxton Quigley, the author of Armed and Female and Not an Easy Target. We trained, I think it was 40 women, both in Oakland County and in Battle Creek, and then we had a women's forum, which included Deb Wyman, Shemaine Nugent, Joanna Sturgeon, Arlen Afton, and a bunch of others. You've seen the estrogen flowing in this event. Her latest accomplishment is the speech and the article that was featured in newspapers all over the country and even in Canada, entitled "Handguns Are a Girl's Best Friend." I also want to point out that women's best friend happen to be diamonds, and a man's best friend is what? Dog. Don't tell me about the weaker sex. She is a true warrior woman, and I'm very proud that she is the first recipient of the Brass Cojones Award. Ladies and gentlemen, a woman with brass cojones, Barbara Goushaw.
It's the only time that the microphone is actually at a level where I can deal with it. I am truly honored to be on the stage tonight with Larry Pratt and Jim Church, two of my idols in the movement, two of the greats. It's really incredible for me to be up here with them. You know, a few years ago, at the first of the Brass Cojones Awards dinners, I issued a challenge to our women legislators to step forward, pick up this ball, and run with it, to get the CCW legislation passed here in Michigan. I offered the opportunity for women legislators to be the first female recipient of the Brass Cojones Award. Didn't work out that way. In spite of my efforts and those of my cohorts, Joanna Sturgeon and Arlen Afton and Elizabeth, we lobbied. Boy, we lobbied. And that was our internal title of this group, the Warrior Women with Weapons. We went and met with legislator after legislator to try and put the face of a woman on this issue. And we talked. And we met, and we scheduled appointments, and sometimes they stood us up, sometimes they met with us, sometimes they said, We were looking for a lady legislator to lead the charge on this issue, and, well, they said they'd support us, but we never found one that would lead the charge. We came to the conclusion, particularly after the last session, that we really can't count on our legislators to do this for us, but we need to keep working. Each and every one of us needs to keep working to get concealed carry passed in our legislature. And it is a woman's issue. It's about women. And I talk until blue in the face. You know, I debated Laura Baird on WKAR in Lansing on this issue. And evil woman. It's horrible. And this was on public radio. WKAR is the PBS affiliate, and yeah, I don't need to tell you what the audience was about with that group. We managed to make some good points and to score some points on Ms. Baird. Called her an anti-feminist, racist, all that stuff. Well, not exactly, but you know what I'm saying. I'd also like to thank my friend Pat McElvery. She faxed me over an article emailed me an article a few days ago that reminded me again why it is that we need to keep the face of a woman on this issue. It's for women like Donna Hernandez, who had 7 personal protection orders before she was stabbed to death by her ex-husband. It's for women like Maureen McConaughey, who also had a personal protection order and was shot by her ex-boyfriend. It's for women like Judy Norman, whose personal protection order was found next to her body after her husband killed her and then himself. And it's for women like Brenda James, who was shot to death by her ex-husband in front of her 6 children 6 days after she received her personal protection order. Ladies and gentlemen, those folks at Handgun Control Incorporated say that, well, we don't need to be armed because that's what we have the police for. I would submit to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and my cause now is to continue to issue personal protection orders, but to make them effective by issuing a concealed carry permit at the same time. And to notify the recipients of the PPO be on notice that this individual also has a concealed carry permit, along with a personal protection order. Can you just imagine how effective that would be? Think about it. There's 2 things that I want to ask you all to do tonight. Mike mentioned this a little earlier, and I want to stress it. How many people in this room have a computer and are hooked up to the internet? You remember the internet, Al Gore invented it? All right. I want you to get a pencil and paper and write this down. www.speakoutmichigan, one word, SPEAKOUTMICHIGAN.org. When you get home tonight or tomorrow, I want you to sign onto this website. It's a fabulous website where it enables you to put in your zip code, and it will automatically send a letter demanding our right to defend ourselves to your senator and your representative. All you have to do is put in your zip code and your name, and a letter will go out in your name to your representatives. My understanding is that thus far we've got about 800 folks that have signed on and sent the letters. We need to double that, triple that, quadruple it. Forward that to all of the folks that you know that are pro-gun and have them send a letter to. And these letters will also be copied to the governor. Okay? Promise me you'll do that?
Yes.
Say yes, Barbara.
Yes, Barbara.
Yes, Barbara. Okay. www.speakoutmichigan.org. The other thing that I want to ask you to do tonight is teach a woman to shoot. Teach a woman to shoot. Learning how to fire a weapon was one of the most powerful experiences in my life. In the Handguns Are a Girl's Best Friend speech and article, I talk a lot about the way that women are subtly programmed to believe that we're victims and that we have no choice, that we are victims, that we have to be careful when we're walking into a dark parking lot or getting on an elevator with a lone man, and that programming is everywhere. And when you grow up believing that, the first time you take a gun, into your hand after you've been trained in how to use it properly and safely, it is the most incredible experience that a woman can have. We talk so much about empowerment of women. Empowerment of women is to know for the first time that you truly have and are holding in your hand the ability to be safe and to protect your kids. Ladies, are you with me on that? Is that not true? The first time you took your weapon and knew that you were not a helpless victim anymore. So my friends, teach a woman to shoot. Take them to the range and empower them. Because by doing that, you will be adding to the pro-gun women that are out there. Most women who are rational and have not yet formed a profound anti-gun opinion, are ambivalent on the issue, are only that way because they're afraid. I was raised to be afraid. I was a little jealous hearing Mike and Jim talk about the way that their fathers taught them. Quite frankly, my friends, my father is rolling over in his grave that I'm here tonight. He and I argued gun control on his deathbed. I didn't know it was his deathbed at the time, and it wasn't why he died. But the fact of the matter is that, he raised me to be a lady, and ladies don't have anything to do with guns. And he was vehemently anti-gun all the years that I was growing up, and he taught me to fear them. I had to learn for myself through experience. It was not my gun that was to be feared. It was the predator. And that with my gun, I could make the predator afraid. If you've never taken a woman out and taught her how to shoot, you'll be amazed at a couple of things. First of all, women learn real easily. Real easily. We learn how to shoot quickly and easily. We don't have any bad habits, that we've learned wrong. So it's easy to learn. And we tend to be better shots. Women tend to be learn faster and are better shots than men. So, the ladies are loving this, right? Yes. Okay. So take a woman out and teach her how to shoot. We're doing that, Bruce and I, whenever we have the opportunity, and it's so thrilling to see a lady that learns that for the first time and learns to shoot and is no longer afraid. It's a grand and glorious thing. Most importantly, you will teach them how not to be afraid of the gun, the way so many of us were raised. And you'll take them from undecided to pro-gun. And that's what we need to do, is have that cadre of pro-gun women who are not afraid to stand up in front of our legislature and say, I want the right to defend myself. I will not be a victim anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Barb up on it. As a handgun instructor who has taught thousands of people how to shoot for CCW permits and just for basic safety, I'll back her up on it. Women are better shots. The other thing is that when we hear law enforcement people say to women, well, you shouldn't resist, you shouldn't fight back. get yourself in more trouble if you fight back. That's a bunch of garbage. And when Barb was our vice director, anytime guys like Chief Dr. Ron Daziel from Dearborn would say that publicly on the radio or whatever, we would turn her loose on her. The fool that has Barb turned loose. And I have here from Chuck Buzzy, a 1-year free woman's self-defense from Master Chuck Buzzy. Dan Tang So Do? That sounds like a dough, like a dish.
Tong Sudo.
Tong Sudo.
Tong Sudo.
Yeah, and this is Chuck right over here. That's not a Chinese delicacy. Our final recipient is Larry Pratt. Larry Pratt has been the executive director of Gun Owners of America for 25 years. GOA is a national membership organization of 150,000 plus Americans dedicated to promoting their Second Amendment freedom to keep and bear arms. GOA lobbies for pro-gun positions in Washington and is involved in firearms issues in all states. GOA's work includes providing legal assistance to those involved in lawsuits with the BATF and federal firearms law enforcement agencies. Larry has appeared on numerous national radio and television programs such as The Today Show, CBS Morning News, CNN Crossfire, Larry King, Anthony Combs, Geraldo, CBS, 48 Hours, ABC's Nightline, and many others. He has debated Congressman James Traficant, Charles Rangel, Carolyn McCarthy, Senators Frank Lautenberg, Howard Metzenbaum, former Governor James Florio, Vice President Al Gore, and Sarah Brady, among others. His columns have appeared in newspapers and magazines across the country. He's published a book entitled Armed People Victorious. In 1999 was the editor of the book Safeguarding Liberty, the Constitution, and Citizen Militias in 1995. Larry has held elective office in the state legislature of Virginia, serving in the House of Delegates. Pratt also directs a number of other public interest organizations and serves as vice chairman of the American Institute for Cancer Research. There's a couple of things I really like about Larry Pratt. The first thing is that he explains the Second Amendment as it should be. He doesn't talk about hunting and sporting guns. He talks about defending the blessings of liberty. He gets right to the core. He also knows how to boil things down. As a pro-gun leader, I use Larry Pratt as a model. I listen to him when he's on the radio and I read his articles, and he really knows how to take a complicated issue and boil it down. You saw the song and dance I went through explaining to you how the grassroots organization works. Larry Pratt, on video at our CCW symposium, boiled it down even better. What he said is, if you're a farmer and you've got a problem with crows, what you do is you shoot the biggest, fattest crow you can find, nail him to the side of the barn so the rest of the crows can see him. And then every once in a while, you have to replace that carcass, so you put up another crow. He's a dynamite speaker. I'm honored to give him this award. Ladies and gentlemen, a man with brass cojones, Larry Pratt.
Appreciate all the nice things that have been said about me tonight. My head will probably weigh more than these two objects in front of me. When I got here, sometime today, somebody asked me, well, are you ever going to have gun owners of Michigan affiliated with GOA? And I said, well, we don't need one. We got grassroots right here. Yeah. You don't duplicate what's here at the table, I was again impressed with while you have an incredibly active board that leads the organization, there's so many people here that are clearly involved in many different aspects of the fight. And the reason you've been so, there are unusually, I'm afraid to say, so many people in the organization that are committed. obviously, I think you are going to cross the finish line on this concealed carry law. It's not probably going to happen right away, maybe not even after the next election, but I'm reminded that Brady took, I think I counted, it was at least 12 years before they got that through the Congress. And they just kept coming and coming, and they made the arguments, and they brought their wheelchairs in, and they appealed to all the emotion, and without the proper reinforcement from our side, they were able to whittle it down. And I think we're beginning to learn a little bit what we need to be doing to be fighting effectively. You all sure have the right message. That's why we're so happy to be able to work with grassroots in Michigan. And why I think this cause of ours is ultimately going to prevail, because we are learning. I see signs of it. The one way to formulate the basic tactics that we use, I guess, would be one of the favorite sayings that Everett Dirksen used to have when he was alive. He was a senator from Illinois and for a while the minority leader of the Republicans in the United States Senate. He was fond of saying that when I feel the heat, I see the light. And that's just another restatement of the Crow story, that they need to have something very demonstrable to get the point across. Now, this is not new information. It wasn't a brainstorm unique to Everett Dirksen. In fact, you can find this philosophy articulated even in the scripture, the book of Luke. There's an account of a widow, and she goes before this unrighteous judge seeking justice, and he won't give it to her. He doesn't regard either man or God, we're told, and so he just stonewalls her. But finally he gives in, and the reason he gives is, she troubles me. And so it seems to me that ought to be our objective as well. We need to trouble them.
Here, here.
Now, one of the things that we need to guard ourselves against is we start to have too much contact with these politicians. Whatever they have could be contagious. And so there's actually another place in Scripture that's very helpful in setting your mindset in the right, getting it calibrated right. And back in Proverbs 23, it talks about if you have an appetite for delicacies, then when you go in to eat with the king, you better go in with a knife to your throat. Beware of the king's delicacies. They are deceitful food. And it's almost literally true. I've almost literally happened for years and years and years, on many an occasion, somebody gets invited to the White House, the governor's mansion, the legislator's office, in some way stroked. And for maybe the price of a meal, that's all it is. Maybe not even that. Maybe just a meeting where the person is congratulated for being so fair and so forth, and so knowledgeable and with it. And they're gone. They're flipped. They're on the other side. And a lot of times they didn't even see it happen. It's very subtle. And they'll end up mouthing the same empty wisdom, quote unquote, that the politicians try to palm off on us to keep us from pushing the envelope too far. Now is not the time. Well, we don't have the votes. Well, it'll be counterproductive if you do that. You'll only make these folks mad, and then we'll vote against you. Well, they might get mad. There is a little truth in almost anything that's said, I suppose. They get mad kind of like children who are finally told, after having been spoiled, that they are going to have to take the nap or whatever they're going to have to do. A temper tantrum. But we need to be prepared for that and just keep pushing, because no matter what they're doing, whether they're being charming or whether they're being intimidating, are trying to do something that we see almost all the time, that is, they want to avoid a vote. In the Congress, in '95, we had a meeting with Majority Leader Army. We went into his office with Congressman Steve Stockman, who had beaten Jack Brooks, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I think it's literally true that Brooks had been in Congress for more years than Stockman had been on this earth. And he beating. Well, he was part of that 94 class. He was one of the few that had a fire in his belly, and he watched out for the delegate. He didn't need it. And we wanted to get a vote on a gun bill. We wanted to turn back the issue that had actually put the Republicans in. As you recall, it was a combination of Brady and especially, I think, on the semi-automatics. It just had us all frosted, ready for battle, and we've gotten this Congress elected. And the president himself had said that it was this issue, and he has said it on more than one occasion. He used some press conferences as an impromptu spin seminar to try to teach his guys how to get us into some of their slogans about this is just a sporting issue, this control, common sense, safety legislation. We've heard it all. They don't say anything. I watch with real admiration as the guys from Handgun Control hardly go through a sentence without using one of their shibboleths. They're very skilled at this, and so Clinton is trying to get them over this little bump. He understands this is a serious problem they have, one that is good for them. And all these polls to the contrary, and they are to the contrary, what happens every time we have the poll on election is anti-gunners often lose, even in metropolitan areas. And especially if you have an opponent that's afraid of the issue and comes on it in a crisp and firm way. He's talking about putting the crooks in jail and being the rest of us not being victims. Well, Stockman was told by Army for his dead body that we would get a gun vote. Well, I'm happy that Mr. Army is still alive, but we did get the vote. And they did not wanted this semi-auto ban repeal measure put in. They were afraid of the very issue that it put them into power. And Stockman got tired of waiting. It was clear by 1996, I believe it was, that Army was, that was the way it was going to be. Gingrich was clearly with it. So there wasn't going to be any movement. So Stockman filed a petition to pull this thing out of committee, force a vote on the floor within 3 weeks. And we won. We won very substantially. It wasn't quite a 2/3 vote, which we would override the obviously anticipated presidential veto. It would have done a world of good. Went over to the Senate, and Dole was there for a few weeks, and then he left to lose for president. And Lott and his understudy took over, and between the two of them, with the baby. But we got the vote in the House. And that in itself was an important contribution, because that who is just talking the talk and who's willing to walk. And so we had another experience over in the Senate last year. Smith of New Hampshire determined that even if it's kind of a weak body, and so even though he would like to see repeal and background check, which has now accomplished the registration of 3 million Americans, nothing more than buy a gun and not put crooks in. He figured that he probably could get the votes, an appropriation amendment that would cut off funding for the FBI of people who are buying guns, which they are doing law, but the law doesn't say immediately, and so they were saying, well, we're going to do it for 6 months. Now they're only going to do it for 90 days. Either because this is the group that didn't use any pyrotechnics in Waco. Later you found out about it and so forth. Yeah. Smith was also going to give us peasants a suit to take a case into court, so that when the law anyway, we'd be able to litigate against them. And as you probably know, unless there's been something specific like that, you generally can't sue the government. So this was a very important piece of legislation, and we came toward the time for the vote. Smith was told the lobby groups, that, well, we didn't have the votes. There was only 40 votes. And it was going to be a big embarrassment. Please don't do it. And a lot of the pro-senators were making a similar plea. So the senator was getting lobbied in a very peculiar way. And he called us and he said, what do you want to do? We said, well, we honestly haven't taken a vote count. We're not sure. In all due respect, sir, that your colleagues can be trusted. But we're pretty sure that you're going to win. And even if you don't, we the vote. And he said, that's all I needed to know. So he went and he did a masterful job at presenting this not only as an issue, but as a privacy issue. And he did got the votes of Dianne Feinstein and Russ Feingold, and 69 votes, not 40. So the 29 in that were people that would vote with us, some of whom were actually sort of, but they just didn't want to go on record either way. Don't like that kind of controversy. And one big, that would have been a veto-proof majority. We would have gotten over, but then Newt Gingrich had evidently learned from Bob Dole and maybe on the way back, and so it never saw the light. But we can make these things happen, and it's a matter of pushing, and the way we do it, to work with our members, supply postcards to send in, phone numbers to call, fax addresses so that they can keep the heat on, and a number of them I meet with these folks, and hopefully most of them remember to read Proverbs 23 before they go in, so that they don't get turned to the meeting. And by the way, if you want to see, our chairman was a California State Senator for 22 years. And he finally retired because he just couldn't stand his colleague. But he's written this little book called, and a number of people have told us after they've read it, finally, and why conservatives keep losing. It's because of confrontation, they don't like it, and so they won't practice it. But the liberals, and in particular the anti-gunners that we're talking about, do understand it, they love it, and they practice it. It's like sending me up against, Muhammad Ali, dance around the ring until I finally get clobbered. And that's exactly what happens when there's a failure to understand the confrontation of politics. So, if you'd like to get, it might be very instructive, and this was by somebody who had some 20 plus years. And also, I've got a book over there on the collection amendment, and would be happy not to have to carry them all the way back. See me about that. I was really excited to hear to this